Hi, this is Shane Starr on a beautiful summerish day in South Orange County, California. And today I'm sort of doing a reset. As anyone who follows my channel knows, I went through a sort of professional slash personal reevaluation of my typing in both MBTI and Enneagram, which really was about a socionics interpretation of my personality. In that reinterpretation, it's not as dramatic as it probably seems. Basically, it's something that was going on internally for a while, and it's not so much that I changed an understanding of myself as rather I chose to give my agreement and fidelity to the system which I think is best, which typed me a different way than I was typing myself. And so where does that leave us moving forward? I could either A, continue my channel like nothing happened and keep going, which I think is a little bit disingenuous, or B, reevaluate everything I've done, which I don't think is necessary because, again, this isn't some big dramatic change like it looks on the surface. It's just a slight adjustment, rather. So moving forward, I'm going to continue my channel the same way I always have. It's a small channel anyway. It's nice and private and cozy, and I'm fine with that. And what we're going to do is today, I'm just going to sort of refine a little bit of how I see the functions playing out. And hopefully this can be interpreted in a way that sort of brings socionics together with MBTI to where when I speak of a particular type, we can pretty much agree what I'm talking about, even if some of the finer details fall outside of a nice and neat Venn diagram. So I'm just going to go down the 8 functions. And again, this is just to clarify where I'm at, what I believe, and you can either show your agreement in the comments or your disagreement, likewise moving forward. So let's start with extroverted sensing. This is a big one. On the surface, a lot of people just think of it as the awareness of your 5 senses, full experience in life. And when I thought of that, it's easy to see why I went the other way with SI for a while, because just experiencing, we all do that to some degree. But now my understanding of extroverted sensing has more to do with impact, making an impact on your environment, which can be interpreted as force or power. But really, I like the word impact because it's not necessarily force, like exerting your force over and above someone. You can make an impact without controlling or pushing someone else out of the way. You're just making your own splash, and I like that word to describe SE. I think it's accurate, and I think it steers us away from some stereotypes that are usually ascribed, some of them to TE, and maybe some to even NE in terms of experiential, playing with the parts you find in the universe and stuff. But again, when I think of extrovert sensing and I talk about extrovert sensing, I'm going to be talking about having impact on the world, making a difference, having, whether it's socially, whether it's environmentally, whether it's only yourself with no one else around, you are making a change or an adjustment or creating something in your environment. So it's impact. All right. Moving on to SI. Now, I had always understood SI, introverted sensing, in the classical sense of, being detailed, having a good memory, being organized. And I've worked really hard on those aspects of my personality. which I would now more ascribe to extroverted thinking as opposed to introverted sensing. So where would that leave me? What's left of introverted sensing? What do I think that is now that I've abandoned it as a possible leading function and being my ignoring function instead? Introverted sensing, if extroverted sensing is about making an impact, introverted sensing is the opposite. It's that same environment, but adjusting to the people, adjusting to the environment. It's the opposite of force or power impact. It's comfort, it's relaxation, it's chill, it's peace. Think Enneagram 9 stuff. That's my understanding of introverted sensing now. It doesn't contradict what I thought before, but it's a different emphasis. And it's an emphasis, I know how to have comfort. I know how to, make a relaxing environment, but I'm more often or not focused on my impact, whether it's what I'm wearing, whether it's what I'm achieving at work. That's impact. Introverted sensing would be more coziness, comfort, relaxation, vacation time, peace and harmony kind of thing. Social harmony would be the domain of extroverted feeling. I'm talking about self-comfort, self-harmony. That's my understanding. Again, when you think of introverted sensing, for me at least, I'm thinking of Enneagram 9 stuff. Okay? Moving on to extroverted thinking. Pragmatism is what I always thought about it, and I still do. But I would add external structure, not internal structure. That's a domain of introvert thinking, but external structure, how things are organized, things that I used to put under introverted sensing, that would fall under extroverted thinking now. So, being efficient, being organized, being on time, being pragmatic, those are all extroverted thinking things. And that being, if the World Sociological Society interpretation of my personality is correct, that would be my flexing function. That would be the thing that I show the most growth in. That's the thing, that's my show-off function. And in my own head, my own little internal world, I'm thinking that makes perfect sense because I did so well and I grew so much that a lot of people tag me as a lead TE. And you'll find that the people sometimes type you as really what your child or third function is, because that's what you're showing off to the world. Look at me, look how organized I am, look how efficient I am, look how productive I am, look, I'm a pragmatist, all that stuff, all that. Your show off function is your third function. Now, if I was really an LSE, that would be extroverted intuition in that position. I don't see myself showing off of all my cool connections with ideas and stuff. That's not my thing. If I was an ISTJ, that would be FI. I guess I could make some sort of an argument for that, but really I think my FI is too good to be in third slot. I'm pretty good at knowing what I want and how to go about getting it, and what I want is usually more important than anything else, even what makes the most sense. So I'm comfortable with that being in creative slot. But back to the point, TE, organization, external organization, efficiency, pragmatism, that's extroverted thinking. Moving on to introverted thinking. This would be internal structure. This is like definitions, categories, analysis, itemizations, definitions. And the one thing, if I still have a little bit of reluctance in fully embracing like the whole TI polar thing, I think it can look different for different people. Of course, someone with more intelligence, it's going to look different than someone without it. For me, if you were to say, okay, if you're really TI puller, give me an example, I would say maybe getting 2 good paychecks in a row thinking, hey, I make more money now, and going out and buying a new sports car that I can't afford with it. That's one thing I can think of. Picking a job 30 miles from my home because it's prettier. I like it more. When there's a lot of places it would make more common sense closer to home to work at. I don't think those are the only reasons, but picking a graduate school based on the architecture that gave me pleasure as opposed to what was the most pragmatic or which was the best thing to choose. So TI, introverted thinking, is being able to understand clearly, not semi-understand and then throw away or reject, but understand the finer details, the fine print. Some things that some people put on TE, some things that some people put on SI, but really it's systematic frameworks. For me, I'd rather know how to drive a car well than understand how it works and how the fuel filter connects with the carburetor and the fuel injection system. And I don't care about any of that. I just want to go fast. You know what I mean? Like reading the fine print in a contract, all those little details that can be, I think some people would chalk that up to SI. I think my understanding of it's now is more under TI. SI, again, is the domain of relaxation and comfort. Moving on to introverted intuition, it's still about thematic things, which I think I'm pretty good at personally. Symbolism, which I also think I'm good at. Maybe I think I'm better at it than I really am. But the big difference here is the shift in emphasis to time. Introvert intuition is more than just symbolism. It's the understanding of how time evolves, not just with objects, people, places, things, how they looked in the past compared to how they are now, compared to how they will be in the future. It's seeing the view from above. You're seeing the whole layout of reality from like a higher level. In extroverted sensing or even introverted sensing, you're looking at what's right in front of you. Introverted intuition, you see the whole layout. You see the past, the present, the future. It's about time. It's about change. It's about evolution. And we can also throw thematic and symbolic matters into that, but time is going to be featured first. When I talk about introvert intuition, it's mostly going to be about time. Okay. And that was always there, but it's emphasized more in my understanding of the functions now. Extroverted intuition, we know, if you're watching this, you probably know too, that's the most stable, which is funny because it's the most unstable function, but it's the most stable in terms of definition. It's abstract concepts, connections, ideas. If there's any difference in my understanding of extroverted intuition now as opposed to before, it's more about opportunities and potential, seeing things that aren't there right here, right now. It's about being able to see what could be. And for me, I always thought of it in a static sense of, hey, I can make an analogy, therefore I have extrovert intuition. No, it's more about being able to see, hey, these little things, which are immaterial money that we can give the name coin to, and that's going to be big someday. And it's like, really, I don't get it. How could fake nothingness turn into something, and then Bitcoin comes out and then you have it. To me, that's an extroverted intuition thing. Some people think that's introverted intuition, maybe seeing what it can develop into as time goes on. That would be NI, but NE is being able to see the opportunity and idea from the beginning. That's why NEs are visionaries. They see ahead. So both intuitions, introverted and extroverted, have this visionary quality, but introverted intuition focuses in, narrowed down. Extroverted intuition branches out. Okay, moving on. Only two more. Introverted feeling, I haven't changed that much about it, but my emphasis will be on subjective judgments, values, wants, and desires. A lot of people try to put values, and I think that isn't wrong, but for me, and I brought this up in my video about why I think tests aren't working for me, at least, and that's because so many questions say, do you make decisions based on pros and cons, or what will make people feel the best? And it's like, I don't make decisions on either of those things. I make decisions based on what I want. Want, take, have. That's how I make decisions. And sure, I'll make pros and cons, but regardless of how they add up, I'm going to end up doing what I want. And that has nothing to do with the kind of feeling that what does the crowd want? What does my family want? What do other people think or feel about that decision? No, it's not that. What makes the most pragmatic sense? It's not really that, although I can rationalize it into being that. What is technically the most logical thing to do? TI, it's not that either. It's just what I want because I want it. Why do I like the color yellow? Why do I like this light shade of yellow? I just do. It's really primordial. FI is your innermost values, the things that make you choose one flavor over another, one color over another, makes you like one number if you're getting picked on a team. Hey, what number do you want? You don't want this number, but you want that number. You can't really give reasons for those things. It's just inbred. It's in you, what you like and what you don't like. That can change, but in the moment, what you want, to me, that's FI. And that's the way I'm always going to come with it when I talk about FI. FE, that has a twofold definition for me. It is about group dynamics, but it's about emoting. It's about feeling and emotion. I remember thinking, I could be really bad at FE because I wasn't very great at regulating my emotions. If I miss a point, I throw my tennis racket down, pick it back up. I'm fine. I'm ready to go. And everyone else is like, bro, are you okay? It's like, yeah, come on, let's get going. So I thought that meant my FE was bad. On the contrary, that means I have a lot of it, not a little. Bad FE is just being stone-faced, where you take a person winning the lottery and a person who just had a loved one dying. It's like, which one is which, and you can't tell which picture is which scene. With me, you would know like that. When I'm pissed off, you can see it. When I'm happy, you can see it. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I always have. That's FE. And that spreads to group dynamics. What's the connection between those two seemingly separate things, emotion and group dynamics? Because when you emote, whether it's good or bad, it affects the people around you. And so thereby I brought those two disparate concepts together in one. So there you have it. That is my refined understanding of the 8 functions, and that's what I'll be talking about moving forward. It's not much different than what I've talked about in the past, which is why I'm not going to delete my older videos or anything like that. But it is a refinement, it is an adjustment, it is adherence to the system, which I think is the best one, which is the World Socionics Society's interpretation of socionics. And I think even though it's different from MBTI, I think we can still talk in holistic terms. Therefore, I will continue to use the 4 letters moving forward as I have done in the past, and I'll describe myself in those terms as well. That's all I got for now. I'm still planning on doing the 48 Laws of Power. I can't wait. I just haven't been feeling it yet, but I will. That's it. Peace out.